Hello, everybody. My name's Alastair Williamson, and I'm the CEO of Wyld Networks. And I've got a presentation, it's about 15 slides, and I'm just going to take you through who we are, what we do, how we make money, and where we are in the journey. So, who is Wyld Networks? We're a virtual satellite network operator, and I'll get into a bit more detail as to what that actually means. So Wyld Networks at a glance, we were founded in Cambridge in 2016. We've approximately 32 employees as of the end of Q3 this year. And we listed on the NASDAQ First North in July 2021. And we also put ourselves onto the OTC QB in the United States. So what do? So as I said, we're a virtual satellite network operator. What we do is we use low Earth orbiting satellites to connect Internet of Things devices and sensors to the internet. I'll get into a bit more detail of why we're doing that, but we offer our customers a low power, affordable solution that allows them to generate a very quick return on their investment. And our business model is all about a reoccurring revenue model. So what's the problem we're trying to solve? So today, only about 15% of the world's surface has access to the internet. So only about 15% of the world's surface has wireless connectivity. The other 85% has no connectivity at all. So that's actually holding back the growth of the Internet of Things, holding back the growth of IoT networks from adding about $2 to $3 trillion to global GDP over the next 10 years. So what we've done is looked at how we can offer our customers 100% global connectivity for their IoT devices. So what we've done is developed a solution that connects IoT devices directly to low Earth orbiting satellites to actually create that 100% global connectivity. And more importantly, the way we've developed it is to actually offer our customers an affordable global 100% connectivity solution for their IoT devices. To give you an idea of what does it actually look like, so there's really two physical components to what we offer. There's Wyld Connect on the left-hand side of the presentation, which is a piece of hardware that's embedded into an IoT sensor. And there are literally billions of IoT sensors looking for connectivity. So Wyld Connect gets embedded into a sensor. Wyld Connect, as a piece of hardware, collects that data and sends that data directly to low Earth orbiting satellites. The satellites then send the data back down to another product we have called Wyld Fusion, and Wyld Fusion collects that data. It's our billing platform, it's our provisioning platform, and it provides the security around the data. That data is then transferred to our customers, and our customers use that data to improve operational efficiency, monitor all their assets, and basically utilize that data to improve the way they work. So we are a connectivity as a service solution provider. That's our business model. And as I say, what we actually sell is a device called Wyld Connect, which is the hardware that gets embedded into a sensor. And we sell that device for up to $40 a device. And we've actually got orders for about 92,000 of those already. And the other element that we sell is Wyld Data. That's the data piece. That's what the customers pay us to use the service. And that's up to $5 per sensor per month. And that's where our reoccurring revenue comes into play. And we're really delighted to actually announce that we're launching our satellite IoT network service on the 8th of December this year. So next week, we will be going live with our 100% global satellite IoT connectivity solution. So I've put down a few use cases. So what do people use our solution for and why? So obviously, because we're providing 100% global connectivity, and as I said earlier, 85% of the world has got no access to the internet, we solve that problem for IoT devices. So as you can imagine, the majority of our customers have got assets or products or solutions in that 85% of the world's surface where there's currently no access to the internet. So that's agriculture, that's utilities, water, gas, electricity, the environment, energy, oil and gas, maritime, obviously at sea, and also logistics, supply chain logistics. And if I just take two use cases, agriculture, soil moisture sensors. So as you know, the world's population is set to grow by another 2 billion people by 2050. We can't even feed ourselves today. We look at water consumption in agriculture. Agriculture is responsible for 30% of the waste of water globally. So farmers and growers are deploying soil moisture sensors into their fields. Literally hundreds of thousands of soil moisture sensors into their fields, and they want to collect data from those soil moisture sensors so they can actually optimize the amount of water they're using, so reduce the waste of water and also increase the yield of production. So it's a twofold solution, reducing waste of water by collecting data, analyzing how much moisture you have in the soil so you don't over-irrigate, and also allowing yourself to increase the yield of crop on exactly the same footprint. So you're not looking to actually extend the footprint of your growing yield. So that's one example where we're deploying our solution. If we look at the energy sector, large energy companies are very much focused on the environment, sustainability, and they're very much under the spotlight. Well, there are millions of pipelines carrying oil and gas all over the world, mainly in rural areas with no connectivity. And what these large energy companies are doing is basically deploying sensors on their pipelines to measure corrosion, because corrosion is the problem that creates the leakage, that creates the environmental disaster that all these companies are trying to stop. So they're measuring corrosion, using sensors, and using Wyld Connect to send the data to satellite. They collect the data, and it's more about preventative maintenance, going out to fix the problem before it becomes a problem. So there's two examples of use cases, but in reality, there are thousands of different use cases. So where are we at the moment? I talked earlier about the fact that we're delighted to announce that we're launching the satellite network service next week, Thursday, the 8th of December. But we've been going through a lot of pilot testing. We've been signing launch partners. We've signed up to 40 launch partners. And the majority of that is actually taking place in South America, North America, a bit in Europe, Middle East, and some in Africa. And we will start to expand that commercialization phase to then start to do a lot more in Asia Pac starting next year. So we have signed up to about 40 launch partners, and we have converted some of those launch partners into purchase orders ahead of actually launching the network. And to give you an idea of who are our customers, what type of customers are they? So we've already got purchase orders. Before we launched the network, we got about 34 million kroner in backlog to start to unwind as we launch the network. But we've got customers like Bayer, chemical and agricultural giant, DEWA, the Dubai Electricity and Water Authority, obviously wanting to measure and collect data on all of their assets out there in their network. Trevia, focusing on forestry management. Sea Towers, focusing on wind turbine generation in rural locations. And we've got launch partners such as Syngenta, Senate, Chevron in the oil and gas space, American Towers, British American Tobacco. I think collectively these companies, have a market cap in excess of $1 trillion US. So these are big players that have got big problems because they've got assets in that 85% of the world's surface where there's no access to the internet, and we're solving their problem. I talked about our order backlog. So we've started to sell the Wyld Connect piece to get embedded into the sensors early on this year, and we've got orders up to about 34 million kroner. That represents about 92,000 Wyld Connect units to be embedded into sensors. And we've also started to sell the Wyld data piece. So we're now starting to collect orders for the reoccurring monthly revenue piece, which will be about or up to $5 per device that's deployed in the network. So what's the size of the network? The size of the market, I apologize, size of the market. So industry reports talk about satellite IoT being valued at about $5.9 billion US by 2025. So that's a big number. So what we've done is looked at, well, what does that actually mean for Wyld? What's Wyld's network's addressable market by 2025? And we've put that number in at about $670 million US, which represents about 11.3% market share of that $5.9 billion US. So I just want to conclude just with some investment highlights. Why invest in Wyld? So if you listen to my use cases, and the problem that we're solving by providing 100% global connectivity is that we're solving a real-world problem. So we're providing our customers with a solution that allows them to address their productivity, their sustainability goals, and allows them to look at preventative maintenance and reducing the overall cost of their operations. So number one, we're solving a real-world problem. Number two, I like to re-emphasize the fact that we have a reoccurring revenue business model where we're charging up to $5 per month per device that's deployed into the network. We've already received purchase orders ahead of the launch of the network. So we have about 34 million already, and we are launching the network next week. Obviously, once we launch the network next week, we'll get a lot more of our partners starting to place orders on us because they've got a network that they can actually use. We're patent pending, and we've secured trademarks against the Wyld brand. We believe the Wyld brand is a very, very strong brand for us, and we've trademarked that moving forward. And as I say, we're launching our network on the 8th of December. That's next week on Thursday. And we expect to see a lot more customers starting to join us as they actually start to be able to utilize the network moving forward. So I'd like to conclude and thank you very much for listening to me, and also to thank Naventus for inviting me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Alastair. So how about competition? What makes you stand out? There are other satellite companies and other connectivity platforms.
So there's two things. There's competition out there, and most of that competition actually use geostationary satellites. So satellites that are 36,000 kilometers up in the sky, which are very expensive. Whereas we're leveraging low Earth orbiting satellites, so satellites that are about 700 kilometers up there, very, very small, a lot cheaper, a lot more affordable. So we give our customers an affordable solution by leveraging low Earth orbiting satellites. And also what we do is we utilize a technology called LoRaWAN, which is a technology that's in the free-to-use spectrum. So we don't need to pay for spectrum, which is very expensive, to actually operate the network. The third piece is that in using LoRaWAN, we don't require electricity on the ground. So we don't need power from the electric grid, because obviously we're deploying in very rural areas. So our solution using LoRaWAN is basically powered by battery. And that battery life could be, depending on the amount of data used, a life of up to 5 years deployed in the field.
So thank you for clarifying this. Where will you be in 5 years?
Well, that's a really difficult question. We do have a 5-year business plan, but I shan't talk about where we believe we'll be in respect to numbers. But we expect to be the leading satellite IoT network provider in the world. And that's the real focus we're going on. We are enhancing our roadmap. So, as I said, we're using LoRaWAN as a technology at the moment in the free-to-use spectrum. We're going to add NB-IoT to the solution, which is actually in the 5G spectrum, so that our customers, our new customers, such as mobile operators, can start to use our solution as well.
Well, thank you very much indeed, and best of luck.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.